Restarting the stream. And we're back. Do you want to give everybody a second to come back? Do you want to tell people on Facebook that we can come back? They can come back.
Yeah, people on Facebook, since you're watching this, Art wants me to tell you that you can come back to YouTube. I don't know why he couldn't say it himself, but that's okay.
Jesus, Warner Brothers. It's a trailer. You were trying to show a trailer.
We're trying to promote your movie. The Dead Boy 42 is welcoming us back, so we're on YouTube again.
Yeah.
Officially.
Oh, I have to open up a new chat window. That's stupid.
That is stupid.
So dumb.
Yeah. No more Warner Brothers trailers while we're on YouTube, I guess.
Well.
Unless I wonder if we could just play it and talk all over it, and it wouldn't.
I just lower the volume.
Well, everybody. The volume for the Warner Brothers ones.
Well, welcome everybody to part 2 of our worst superheroes. We had a part 1 a while ago, and then we thought we were going to finish on that episode, and then we didn't. So here we are again on this one, and let's let me put some music back on, and let's I don't like the song. It's to this one.
Art's setting the mood, y'all.
Okay, so we had a bunch of movies left. Do we want to go over the couple of the movies that we went over to before?
Sure, yeah.
So on the previous list my list so far were Dragon Ball Evolution, Batman vs Superman, Joss Whedon's Justice League, X-Men Origins, Wolverine, and Superman 3 and 4 from the 80s, and Aeon Flux. Will's was New Mutants, Elektra, X-Men Origins, Wolverine, same as me, Suicide Squad, and Brightburn.
Yeah. So I'm sure that there are people who like those movies. Reed H. Cooper has already started this chat tonight saying that he was going to fight me over one we're probably going to talk about later. So these are just our own personal opinions.
You don't have to like them.
These movies suck. These movies do suck.
Okay, let's start with you. What do you want to go first?
Well, it's funny that Joss Whedon's Justice League was on your list previously, and then since then we've seen Zack Snyder's Justice League, which was a lot better.
Much better.
But I'm going to start my list still with a DC property because the DC movies just in general have not been that great. Although this one is slightly older DC, but I'm going with Ryan Reynolds' Green Lantern.
Ooh, yes. Very much a rough situation there. I mean, first of all, it's Green Lantern, so I already hated. I'm not a bad fan of Green Lantern.
Green Lantern has a lot of potential to be a good story.
No, I still think it's a stupid character. But this was even worse than you could expect. Even Green Lantern was the most amazing superhero ever. This movie still blew chunks, and for a lot of reasons. For me, primarily was how terrible it looked. Like they tried to do too much with the CG. Like now they can do CG costumes. There are times where you don't even know people have CG costumes on. Like when the Avengers have CG costumes on, you don't even notice. But here, it was so terrible and so distracting. I hated it.
The only highlights to watching this movie now, or even then, I mean, one of them wasn't known then, but Taika Waititi is in this movie as an actor, like before he was famous. And watching it and seeing him like, so much younger, and before he really got into the prime of his comedy, it was kind of cool to see him in it. And then the only other thing that I really like about this movie is Sinestro. The way that they handled Sinestro was kind of cool, and they were like building him up to be the villain for the sequel, which of course never happened because this sucked and it shouldn't get a sequel. Yeah, those are the only highlights. Every single other thing about this movie was awful. Like the visuals, the special effects, the story was stupid. The way that the villain was handled was stupid. I like Ryan Reynolds as an actor and a comedian. I think he's good in a lot of stuff. but even him in this is not a good casting.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I was upset before this movie even came out because Ryan Reynolds should have been Flash. He's a much better
Mm.
um, actor to be Flash as opposed to Green Lantern, and he wanted to be Flash, and they were working on Flash for a while, and for some reason they ended up making Green Lantern instead. I don't know why, and putting him in that, and he's just not the right type
Mm-mm.
for Green Lantern. It's so yeah, everything about this movie is just so not good.
Yeah, and this is why this character kind of went away just for so long. And I know that recently they're DC that announced they're going to do a TV series, a live action TV series on HBO Max, I think, which is coming at some point. But I think they decided to go with a TV show rather than a movie because they have kind of a bad track record with that. Yeah, bad reputation with that.
And I'm going to disagree with Art that Green Lantern, is a very capable character. I think that there's a lot of potential with the Green Lantern Corps and a lot of the various individual Green Lanterns, like Hal Jordan, Kyle Rayner, Guy Gardner, John Stewart. These are all very interesting characters in their own right, and I would like to see any of them, handled well, but we haven't yet.
Nope. Well, I hope it gets better because this was terrible.
No, it's not going to get better. We're going down the list. All these movies are going to get worse and worse.
All right, my next one on the list, my number 6, I guess, was one that I was kind of really excited about for a few reasons, and then it blew chunks, which was X-Men Apocalypse. This one hurt.
That deserves to be the low.
Because I was looking forward to Apocalypse so much, and it was Oscar Isaac. I was like, that's kind of cool. Yeah. And then he sucked. He just looked like it was.
I mean, look at the poster. He looks awful.
Yeah. Why was he tiny? Why did they use this 5'10" regular stature for it? He should have been like Thanos size, just big CG or big costume. I like the fact that he was all practical, which is really cool. But they did nothing to make him. He just looked like a guy, blue guy. I hated it. I was super excited about Psylocke, and I was really happy that Olivia Munn got cast. I thought she was great. And then just nothing. She showed up. She spun around a couple times, and then said like 2 things, and then was done. Done. It was just such a poorly made movie. It looked like they just thought that they wanted to make a movie with a bunch of the cool characters in it, and then just made the movie without thinking, without reason to have these characters, and it was kind of a waste.
Yeah, I think that's the nail in the head on this one, is that it was just a waste because the cast is good, like you said. All the characters are great if you want to stick to the characters, but they don't. A lot of the characters that you really want to see are even, they're not even barely in this movie, like Psylocke, like have very little screen time. And so it does nothing. Like Apocalypse should be major. Like he should be not just large in size, but he should be formidable. And this wasn't. I remember when this movie came out and everyone just called him a Smurf. Like,
yeah, he was just another baddie. He was just like, villain of the week situation. He wasn't scary or he was just another bad guy. And it was really disappointing.
The Dead Boy 42 is asking, who is that as Xavier there? That's John McAvoy. But yeah, it's not a very good picture of him. He's been photoshopped to hell in that poster. But yeah, it's all the younger X cast are in this one.
So that was my pick.
Or James McAvoy, sorry.
James McAvoy. Yeah, James McAvoy. Yeah, this was after first class when they recast all the X-Men, which I was fine with. And I really like New Magneto. I forget his name.
Michael Fassbender.
I think he's great at it. And James McAvoy's fine. But yeah. I saw it once and I was done. Never again.
By the time that this movie came out, I was already done with the X-Men series, and I was just like, it is what it is. And I have to say, probably because this movie was so bad, everyone was thinking that Dark Phoenix would be awful when it came out, but I think because this movie was so bad that I actually kind of enjoyed Dark Phoenix a little bit, which came out right after this. I think it's a better movie than this. I do think X-Men Apocalypse is the worst of all of the X-Men movies.
I think so.
So I couldn't even put Dark Phoenix that
this
low.
and X3 for me is the worst movies.
X3 is awful, but Apocalypse is worse.
Yeah. Ugh.
For sure.
For sure. All right. What's next on your list?
Next on my list, I think this might be the one that that Reed wants to fight me about. We'll see. Pamela Anderson is Barbed Wire. So Barbed Wire is this Dark Horse character, and I really like the Dark Horse comic characters. Like Barbed Wire had this cool crossover with Ghost, who is one of my favorite comic characters. And the character is just so badass. And, you know, also, I'm going to have to say I actually like Pamela Anderson as well. Like, she's not the best actress, but she is entertaining to watch, and the stuff that she does is fun. Like, she's just a fun personality.
High School Me was very happy with Pamela Anderson in this role.
Well, I'm sure.
I don't remember anything about this movie, but I remember being really happy.
But I mean, like shows like VIP, or even her her stint on Home Improvement. Everyone forgets that she was on Home Improvement, but she was. She's not awful. Like no. I could get into Pam Anderson.
Yeah.
As an actress, or as a on-screen personality, I will say.
Yeah.
Not as an actress, but as an on-screen personality. But something about this movie is just so. Probably the reason that you were okay with this movie. It's so gratuitous. It's just like. Also, I have the unrated version on DVD. Yes, I do own it, even though I think it's one of the worst movies. I do own it, and the unrated version, there's just like 5 extra minutes of her sitting nude on a swing or something like that. So it's just that kind of gratuitous that doesn't, you know, if it's a character that I like, that I want to actually see, you know, the character be cool, and they just give me like TNA. Sometimes TNA is fine, but this just isn't what I wanted
as a topping
superhero movie. Right, as a topping, TNA as a topping, but still give me that substance underneath. And this movie has absolutely no substance in it.
Yeah, no, I remember nothing about this movie.
Reed H. Cooper's asking, "What's the issue?" It's just not a very well-made movie. Honestly, it's not Pamela Anderson's fault, because she's fine in the role. But I think that story-wise, cinematography-wise, it's just not a good movie. Like it's.
What particulars about the story?
What you say?
Do you have any particulars about the story?
No, I don't remember what the story even is. Everyone in the chat is like, I see no problem. Yeah, it's just not. That is the problem in itself, that no one can remember what the plot of this movie even is. That's the problem.
Yeah, and the only thing that people remember about this movie is that Pamela Anderson was in it. That's it. Like, I don't even know if this was it a drama? Was it a comedy? Was there a bad guy in it? Nothing. I don't remember any other person that was in this movie. Nothing.
It's an action movie. It's a TNA action movie. But it just falls into unintentional comedy is what happens. But then that comedy is not even large enough for you to remember it. So it doesn't, it just kind of like, it falls short.
It's not even good bad. It's just bad.
Yeah.
Well,
Reed H. Cooper is asking, is this story worse than Catwoman? I'm going to say yes, because, first of all, because I don't even remember the story. But second, because Catwoman, I'm going to say, actually has a good story in its, if you boil it down to the essence of that story, it's a good story because it's actually the same story as The Crow. And The Crow is awesome. The details of Catwoman is what makes that like just so stupid. There's no reason why, just because it's a female superhero, she has to like battle a, cosmetics company. Like, it's just that's stupid shit. But the idea of like Catwoman being wronged and so she has to like be brought back to life by this cat is literally the Crow. Um, and I that in itself is cool enough to make that better than barbed wire, I think.
Wow. Well, that's yeah, barbed wire. Is it streaming
But don't
anywhere?
worry, it still gets worse. I don't think barbed wire is streaming. It might be streaming on like Skinamax or something like that.
Because now I kind of want to see it because I remember nothing of this movie.
I'm gonna
Services.
have to I'm gonna
You
have to
can
pull out the
rent it.
DVD and watch it.
Yeah. No, it's not streaming anywhere for free. You can rent it or buy it on a bunch of different services, but no
The Dead
streaming.
Boy 42 says, I've never seen The Crow. I have to admit, the Crow franchise, there's like four sequels to the first
Mm-hmm.
one. Um, Almost all of those sequels almost ended up on this list. The Crow sequels are so bad. But the first Crow with Brandon Lee,
Mm-hmm.
awesome.
Mm-hmm.
At least see that one. If you've not seen any Crow movies,
Just watch the
watch the
first one.
first Crow movie. The first one is so good.
William, we're gonna forget that this was on this list in a few days. It's like, what was
See,
that movie?
no one's even going to remember.
All right, next on my list, this is one that the Reed Gober's gonna be happy about, is Ang Lee's Hulk.
Mm.
This was like the beginning of the big superhero hype, and they thought they would make a Hulk movie, and this one just fell really flat. And I liked all the actors in it. I liked Eric Bana. Everybody was fine. It's just I think primarily why this movie ended up so lackluster was the fact that Ang Lee, if I remember correctly, was contractually obligated to do this movie. It wasn't a movie that he wanted
Oh,
to do.
really?
Yes, he had a contract and he had to fulfill it. So they said make this movie, and so there was no. And Ang Lee is a really good action director, so he sounded like a great person to direct this. And
He's a good drama director, too.
yeah, he's
Like,
just a good
he could
director.
do, yeah.
Anything, but like I don't think this was just what he wanted to do. He just literally was like, okay, gotta make a movie, and he made the movie, and nobody really cared. Also, even within, they tried to do a bunch of CG at the time that was a little too forward for what they had available, so a lot of the CG stuff looked really bad. Um, it was just a sad movie. It's sad that this was the Hulk movie that we got because we haven't gotten one. I don't know if we're ever gonna get a Hulk movie. And this and the other one that was kind of better, but it was sad that this was the first one we got.
Yeah, the other one was much better than this, but
Mm-hmm.
still, as far
Kind
as the
of.
MCU movies, was towards the bottom for me. Um, I know people who like the other Hulk way more than this one.
Mm-hmm.
Dave, for example, is a fan of the other Hulk. I think because it has characters in it that he likes from the
Mm-hmm.
comics. Like Tim Roth playing Abomination. And apparently, Tim Roth is coming back to one of those MCU shows, so it'd be cool to see um, that continuity carry over. But yeah, my experience with this Hulk movie, I was very excited because my local comic shop got some tickets to go see um, a early screening of it. So I was in line to go see an early screening of it, and uh, just like yes, so excited, so ready to see like you said, it was like the beginning of the big superhero
Mm-hmm.
wave of movies. Um, and I was just so into it while in line. And then as soon as the movie started, this is what I remember most about this movie. The opening credits are done in a way that look like comic book panels, right? Because they're,
Mm-hmm.
this is a comic book movie. We
Yeah.
want to have this like cool comic book panel stuff. And I was like, okay, that's cool for the opening credits. And I'm sitting there watching. I'm like, opening credits are over, and you're still doing these panels.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, are you going to do these panels through the whole movie? Why are you doing these panels through the whole movie? Like I could not believe
Because
that
it's
they
a
were
comic
just
book
giving
movie.
us like, yeah, it was so tropey in the fact that it was a comic book movie instead of just being like a good movie.
Yeah.
And I think that is my big problem with that movie. It just it tried too hard to be comic bookish instead of just giving us cool characters and letting the characters be, who they are. Because all, like you said, all the actors are good, the characters are cool. it just didn't happen.
I just found a pin in my shorts pocket. I stabbed myself
That's
when I
not good.
stuck my hand in there. I don't know why I'm telling you guys this, but I just found this in there.
Careful.
And also, Hulk zombie dogs were real weird. That I didn't like. That was terrible. So Hulk, Ang Lee's Hulk, so sad. But then we got better Hulk, and now we have a good Hulk, who I really like. And I hope maybe one day we get a movie. I get this at this point. It's like I don't need it. We already know everything about Hulk. There's been 2 other movies. We don't really need a origin Hulk story.
No, not at this point.
So I don't even.
What's going to be cool that is in the works and coming that I'm looking forward to is the She-Hulk TV series for Disney
That'll
Plus.
be great.
I'm really looking forward to that. I think that'll be cool.
And that might be a time for Mark Ruffalo's Hulk to like hang out or do something, and we get a little bit more like individual time with him because he might be in there. I don't know if he is.
Yeah, he should be. I should hope so. They're. I mean, at least in one episode as a connecting tissue to the character.
All right, what's next on your list, sir?
Oh, it's my turn again.
Yes, sir. By the way, Green Lantern was also one of my lists, so I have 4 instead of 5.
Oh, okay. We're good. We knocked that one out.
Yeah.
I'm sticking with Marvel since you brought up Hulk. I'm sticking with Marvel. And I'm going to go Ghost Rider with Nick Cage.
Oh no. But it's Nick Cage though. He makes everything great.
The movie is probably better because it's Nick Cage. I mean, better than it would have been if it was someone else. If it was someone else just like going into this with very dry humor, then it would have been even worse. Nick Cage's campiness kind of ups it a bit, but not enough. It's still like a really bad movie. It still has it's one of those movies you kind of cringe through. It's just like, oh, why is this happening? Like, and it doesn't get any better. It just gets worse as you're watching it. I never saw the sequel. I assumed that if I had seen the sequel would be on this list instead of the original. I assume that it's worse, but I haven't seen it. Connie said she just watched this last week. What are your thoughts? Did you like it?
Reese Cooper says
saying that Ghost Rider is so bad it's good.
I don't even remember if I saw this.
It was streaming on Netflix recently, and that's why I watched it. I had not seen it until maybe about a month ago. Dave and I watched it, and we were both. It's funny because the first little bit of it is kind of like, okay, I see where this is going. This is Nick Cage. It's gonna be stupid, but I'm just gonna go with it. But then it reaches a point where it's like so stupid that you're just like, okay, like I'm not going with this anymore. But I guess Reed H. Cooper went with it still.
George Clark says, WTF, Will, that movie was dope AF. I have no opinions on this.
You know, honestly, I want to know what like the bottom 10 of all of you viewers. What would be your bottom 10? Like, what is the absolute worst superhero movie that you guys have seen?
Well, let's.
I want to know what that is.
Since I think we're gonna finish a little early, let's get through our list, and then we'll go through their list and see their options and see if maybe we would have put them on our list. Okay, that's good. Let's do that. Good, so, my next on the list is one that it's just terrible. I just hated this movie, and I wanted to love it, but I didn't. And it's we were already there.
We were already there.
It's Hellboy, the new Hellboy, the new one, the one with something Harbour, David Harbour. Yeah. It was
the guy
real.
that's in the new Black Widow movie.
Yeah, and I like him. I think he's great, but this movie was just bad. I hated him as Hellboy. He was not charming. He was just kind of a dick. And I hated his makeup. I thought his makeup was awful. It looked like his makeup to me looked like somebody had like done like a clay sculpt, and then somebody came with water and just kind of smeared it around a little bit. He just looked terrible. I hated it. And it was I guess maybe the reason why it felt even worse is because the other Hellboy it's still recent. It's still in our memories, and those two movies were so good and so entertaining that it's came
Del
in.
Toro.
Yeah, literally, we didn't let him have a third movie to bring this, and this is what you gave us.
Right. If you're trying to one up Del Toro, then you got to bring your A game, and this was not A game at all. I think that this movie holds a special place in my heart because it's actually the last movie you and I saw together, Art.
Oh, is it?
We went to the theater to see this together. We literally, like, neither one of us had seen it before we were doing the show, our episode of Cinephilia on it. So the morning we were doing shows on Sundays then, and that morning we were like, "You want to go see the movie?" So we both went to see the movie together, and then came back immediately and did a show on how awful it was.
Oh, it was so sad.
It's bad. It's bad. And then, like, again, a good cast, because it also has Milla Jovovich as the villain, and I like her. But something about it just was not, it just didn't click. It didn't. Also, Daniel Day Kim, who you guys know I'm always like championing. I want him to do more stuff. He's in it. And this movie was like a big deal also in the casting because they originally cast a white actor as that Asian character. And the white actor was like, "Oh, I didn't know that character was Asian in the comics. I'm out." And so he made a big public stink about it, which forced the production company, to hire an Asian actor, Daniel Day Kim, for the role. And so I was all excited and ready to support this movie, and then I go see the movie, and I was like, "Oh, but it's not good."
And it was funny because I don't know if it was Daniel Day Kim or another Asian actor. Was pointed at the fact that the character is actually Japanese and Daniel Day Kim is Korean, but they were like, "We'll take it, close enough. We'll take it at this point."
Stepping stones.
We'll do it. It's fine. Yeah, I didn't. And they left it, didn't they? At the end, they sort of they basically mentioned Abe Sapien because he wasn't in this movie.
Yeah,
and so they basically were like,
kind of like
showed up, kind of. And they were like, "Oh, but it would have been great, but we're never gonna get that because this was terrible." And also, who else is gonna play Abe Sapien if it's not Doug Jones? Nobody. Who else are you gonna put in that? It's not gonna work. And
those things, that's the thing about remakes and reboots, is that if the movie is already good, just leave it. Like, just go watch the good movie.
Yeah, watch the movie.
You don't need to remake stuff that's already good.
Yeah, or maybe it's something that was made in the 70s and we make it again, maybe. But like literally, it was like 10 years ago. It was still recent.
Yeah.
Like I was an adult when I watched it. I'm still an adult, so it's not. There was no Abe. Nah, F this racket. Yeah, there was no Abe. It was terrible, and it sucks because I remember the first image we saw of David Harbour. He looked really cool. I was super excited, and then Andy Serkis can be Abe. Okay, maybe Andy Serkis.
The more they showed, the less it looked, exciting. So yeah, I'm with you on that one. That's a good pick for this one too. For this list.
All right, what's your next one?
My next one is okay. I guess I have to explain this next one because it technically is the pilot of a TV show, and so already it's not going to be as great as we think for like feature film. But they decided that this pilot was so good and so important for the story that they were telling at large. Again, this is another Marvel one, part of the MCU. That they wanted to release this pilot in IMAX theaters as a big event, as a like movie being released, a feature film. So I'm including it on my list. Inhumans. So bad. This entire series is so bad, but this pilot as a IMAX feature film. Why? Who is greenlighting this shit?
Oh, and this was supposed to be a movie. Originally, they announced this as a movie.
It was originally supposed
and it must have been so bad that we're like, let's make it a TV show. And then
they decided to release
it maybe it'll be good.
IMAX theaters still.
It was awful.
No. Did you ever see this?
No. I saw the trailer. I was like, nope. The dog was
so.
I like the dog, but everything else I was not
the
about.
The dog is cute. Lockjaw, the special effects on Lockjaw, he actually works. He's the only thing about this show that works. Otherwise, again, the trend of today's show is good actors for the most part. Actually, there's really some bad actors in the humans, but like Anson Mount, who is Pike down in Star Trek, he's a good actor. Like he can act, but for some reason in this movie, like he plays a character who is silent. He doesn't speak, and so all of his acting has to come through pantomime, and whoever was directing him just gave him really bad direction. Like everything about this show is awful. And then all of the special effects, aside from Lockjaw, because Lockjaw looked cool, but all of the other special effects, awful. I mean, they just look like, TV effects are different, and I understand that. And if it's going to be a TV effects, fine, but then you're going to release it for people to see on a big screen. Like that's just like that's masochistic. Like you just hate you want to feel pain. You want that to happen. No. If you have never seen this, don't seek it out. It's on Disney Plus, but don't watch it because it's awful.
And this is handled by the like, not the current TV people of Marvel. It was the old TV people at Marvel, right? Like the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., that TV section of Marvel.
So this ties into Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. a lot because we get a lot of Inhuman characters in that show. But also the reason Inhumans were even brought into the MCU is because Disney still didn't have the rights for X-Men yet.
Yeah.
And they wanted to find a way to introduce characters who were mutant-like without using the word mutant. So they decided to use Inhumans, who are characters who have the Inhumans are a race of people who have vast different special powers. So it's kind of like being a mutant, but it's not, and it doesn't have any of the like brand recognition. So they really were pushing hard to make Inhumans like a really cool thing, and it just faltered. Like it just failed on every single level. None of the characters in this are characters in the comics are okay, but none of the characters in this interpretation are any good. Like you just don't care about any of them. Also, my thing, you guys know how I feel about animated hair. And one of the characters in this is Medusa, who has some of the most amazing hair you will find in comics ever. Like her hair works as tendrils to be able to move and fight and do all kinds of things. Not only do they give her bad CG hair, but then I'm spoiling this fucking show because you don't need to watch it. The story arc for this character, for Medusa in this show, is that she has to learn how to be someone important without her hair. So they actually shave her hair off.
Oh no!
Which is only done. It's such bullshit because it's only done because they didn't have the money to do all the CG hair for the entire series. So in the pilot, they're like, let's just cut it off. Let's give you a little bit of hair at the beginning and then cut it off. This show is bullshit. This movie is such bullshit. So yeah, it's so bad. And it's not that Reed H. Cooper thing where it's so bad it's good. There's no way you can watch this and get actual like fun entertainment out of it. It's nothing but frustration. So there you go.
Wow. My last selection here is a movie that it does fall under the like, I know it's really bad, but I do love it and I did grow up loving it. Okay. But it is, I guess it's my number one choice, my last pick, because it is so bad that it was sad that it was so bad. You'll see what I mean.
Okay.
Are we still in Humans? No, we're going on to our next one. My last pick, and this is The Masters of the Universe.
Yeah.
This was
That's oh god, I hadn't even thought of that, but yeah, that's I think my last one is still going to trump that, but this is awful.
yeah. I'm trying to remember what movie. So the basically what happened is oh, there was a movie before this that was along to the selling toy situation. I can't remember what movie it is. So when this movie came to be, they were very careful. They didn't want to give it to money because there was a previous movie that had just failed at the box office. Another like a toy selling thing. I can't remember what it is. Like something like G.I. Joe or something, but not G.I. Joe. So the movie got very little money. So the movie had there was this. I love this movie. No, I love this movie too. I'm not shitting on it, but it is a bad movie.
Is going to bat for this movie.
I'm telling you, it's an awful movie, but I still love it, and there's reasons why I love it. There's reasons. So maybe this is why I love one of the worst. This is like the worst superhero movie that I still love. The reason they got so little money is because, after it didn't get all this money, they had to turn all the plans they had. It couldn't be Eternia anymore. It couldn't be any of the cool stuff. They literally said he went through a portal and they set it in like New York or something like modern world, so they could just shoot it normally.
A trope we hate on this show.
It's just
it doesn't need to be in New York.
So that's terrible. And at the end of the movie, they ran out of money to make the movie. So if you watch the last sequence of the movie, it's like everything's in like darkness and it's just like they're in a void. It was because they shot it in like a warehouse or like a big room with literally black tarps because they could not afford to build sets or anything. So they made it look like they were just fighting in darkness. And so this movie just kind of bombed and failed because it was set up to fail. This movie was not set up for success. The cast was great. I loved the He-Man, and Skeletor was weird, but he looked cool. I was fine with him. I even liked all the weird little side characters and stuff. It was just that this movie was just set up to fail.
I'm going to go Skeletor looked cool.
Mm-hmm.
He-Man looked cool. I think that the designs of those characters for this movie are cool. Everything else, I'm throwing away. Like they literally gave us what's his name instead of Orko? Like, where's Orko?
Yeah.
They couldn't do the special effects to do Orko, so we got a small actor instead.
Like and a weird beard and
it's so strange. And then put it in New York and it's so I have to admit that I find it I find it funny right now that I'm looking at this poster, and you picked out a poster that has all these watermarks all over it.
Oh, does it? It does.
I just picked up on that. But yeah, this I remember seeing that movie in the theater and being very excited as a kid to see it because I was really into He-Man.
Yeah.
And I was the right age for this movie when it came out. And leaving the theater, and I was just like, what was that? That wasn't the He-Man that I know. Not very good.
Wait, Frank Langella was Skeletor? I didn't know that. That's cool.
Another thing where we have good actors in not so good movies.
Yeah. And trust me, the director wanted to make a good movie. He his it's just that they said no. This is how much you get. He was like, okay, I'll see what I can do with it. Like, imagine if we had gotten something like visually, something like what's that movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger, where he's the barbarian guy?
Conan,
something like that, and that kind of like we're all like Willow or something like that, where it didn't have to be the best special effects, but if they had just set it in a place where they could have filmed it and they had the money to build some sets, and
right,
it would have been kind of cool. Because the casting was great.
If they had just gone out into the woods to film it instead of filming in New York, that would have been 10% better.
Like miniature castle, Grayskull. I don't know. So
this is just no He-Man. He-Man is so out there with its ideas that you can't do it with a limited budget. It's just impossible.
But now I want a She-Ra movie, like modern.
Reed H. Cooper is not forgiving me because I don't love it. I sure don't. Oh well.
Well.
But I will say that that movie was not on my list. It was on Art's. And if I had thought of it, it probably would have been on my list. Like, I think it deserves to be on the list, but it's still not my number one. And I still think that my number one is worse than that.
I have a feeling that Dead Boy has never seen your number one.
I'm going to be surprised. Honestly, I'm going to be surprised if anyone in the chat has seen my number one, because it's such a small, low budget film that didn't get any distribution, basically. Like, I was a fan of the character, and so I bought it on DVD to watch it. And I don't think if you're like not a big fan of it, then you probably aren't even going to care or see it. But my number one is the movie Vampirella. Who has seen this movie? Have any of you seen this?
I don't think I've seen it.
Awful.
Oh
okay,
my
first
God.
of all,
sorry, hold on. Yes, I just realized who Vampirella is. Vampirella is also who was Katana in the Mortal Kombat movies. I love her.
Yes. So again, a good actress. She's very capable of doing action, of being sexy, which is everything Vampirella needs to be. And yet it doesn't happen. They turn Vampirella into this science fiction space vampire thing with Roger Daltrey, and it just, look at that costume. Vampirella has a weird costume to try to fit a actual live person into to begin with.
Yeah.
But this costume, if you look at the costume in the image, that costume looks awful, but that's a promo image, and the costume in the actual movie looks even worse. That's not the actual costume that she even wears in the movie. So that tells you like the level of like how bad this movie is. This is so bad.
I'm looking at a picture of her costume. It's terrible.
It's just got, if you want to share a picture of it, then go for it. But the costume just has, it's like a top and a bottom with like a string connecting the two. So she's wearing even less clothing than she is in the image right now. Another example of how bad this movie is, there are a couple moments where Vampirella actually turns into a bat and flies, to wherever she needs to go. When she turns into a bat, the animation of a bat is literally, I don't know how they actually did it, but what it looks like is someone scribbled with a marker directly onto each frame of film. That's what it looks like, and I am not exaggerating. I'm gonna have to find a clip of that. We're gonna start showing clips on this show, and I'm gonna be more prepared so you guys can see shit like this. It's such a bad movie. The directing is awful because, as I said, capable actors, but they just are given nothing to work with. It's the comics are amazing. She's a comic icon, like one of the biggest bad girls of comics. And of course, this came out in the 90s when bad girls were a big thing, and that's why there even is a movie. But Reed H. Cooper said YouTube will cancel us for Vampirella clips.
There she is. Oh my God.
That's the costume she actually wears in the movie.
That's so bad. Like I guess they were trying to make it less revealing because Vampirella's costume is super
it's super
revealing. So I guess this is their.
No,
she looks like she's wearing a diaper being held up by suspenders. Oh, this is awful.
Why does it have to be like this shiny plastic?
I don't know. It looks like I don't like it. What did they do to Alyssa Soto's wrong?
Oh, she's so good.
She's so
Not
good.
in this movie, but in general, she's so good.
I hate this so much. I'm glad I never saw this.
And the Dead Boy 42 says, William, I don't know what to say. She's one of my favorite characters, but yeah. This movie, there's no redemption for this movie. I don't care how much of a fan of Vampirella you are. This is not something you can just stand by because you're a fan. You cannot. You cannot Zack Snyder this movie.
No. Wow.
Look up. I implore you to look up clips of Vampirella starring Talisa Soto on YouTube and see what that's like for yourself.
Yeah, don't watch the whole movie. Just look up clips. Oh well.
So those are our worst superhero movies. We're now all done. We finished the list.
And so I'm gonna name a couple of ones that Reed posted here on the Discord. He put Hancock, which I watched and I liked the idea of it, but I remember just being like, meh.
Yeah. I think that I'm also not a huge fan of Will Smith as an actor. I do love Charlize Theron, but I do feel like the best thing about that movie were the two of them. I think that they had good chemistry together.
Yeah.
Story-wise, is just whatever. Like that, it's a very. I'm fine with that being low on a list.
Rita also said Fantastic Four 1 and 2, and then the newer Fantastic Four. All of the Fantastic Four movies.
They have not gotten Fantastic Four movies right. I agree that those aren't great movies. I will, however, I think that for me, the first two Fantastic Four movies are so bright and campy enough that I still find them fun, even though they're not good. I'm okay with them. I don't love them, but I don't outright hate them either, if that makes sense. So that's why they weren't as low as some of these other ones on my list. And then the most recent Fantastic Four movie has a lot of problems. And I put those problems to the production company that didn't let the director make the movie he wanted to make. Because the glimpses of the movie he wanted to make that I see in that are really cool, where it's this doing the Fantastic Four by way of body horror, where the stuff that they're experiencing is actually kind of horrific. I love that idea. And so I don't outright hate that one either, because it has inklings of that idea in it. Again, lots of awful problems with all of those movies.
And it sucks because then he got fired from Star Wars for that movie.
Yeah.
Necrofilm says it will take some time to compile a list. If you guys want to put together a list, put it on the Discord. We will look at it.
Yeah, I would love to see what you guys say.
He also didn't like Doctor Strange. This is off of Reed Cooper's list. Doctor Strange.
I'm gonna agree with you on that. I didn't like the first Doctor Strange movie either.
I didn't hate it, but it was not. I watched it once. I was like, okay, I'm good. Thanks.
Yeah, that's how it was for me. It was like, yeah, whatever. I think because of its production, its money, it has this sleek glossiness to it that's pretty, like the rest of the MCU movies.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed that part of it. I obviously hated the casting of Tilda Swinton. I talked about that a lot. And I actually am not a fan of Doctor Strange as a character in that movie. I think that he's very arrogant. And if his character arc was to not be arrogant anymore, that failed by the end of the movie. I think he's still a very arrogant character. But I am looking forward to the next one because it's going to deal with the dark magic in the MCU, and it's being directed by Sam Raimi. So I think that'll be cool.
There was also on this list, on Reed Cooper's list, Zoom. I don't know what Zoom is. Do you know what Zoom is?
I don't. I haven't seen Zoom. I wonder if we see it, if it would trump all of the other movies we talked about.
Zoom. What is this? Oh, it looks like... Oh, it's 2006 with Tim Allen. This looks terrible.
Well, it's Tim
Allen movie. Son of the Mask, which I didn't even think about. Yeah, that was awful.
I actually haven't seen Son of the Mask. I never saw it. I liked the first Mask, but I never saw Son of the Mask. I remember that commercial being on like every DVD that I got for a while. It was just a trailer on it, and it looked awful.
So well, it was Jamie Kennedy. I was like, no, I'm good, thanks. Underdog, which was real sad that Underdog sucked. Because I
actually never saw Underdog either. But
yeah, you don't need to.
They changed a lot of what Underdog was for that movie, as far as I recall. I would have straight up just enjoyed a like fully 2D animated Underdog as opposed to CG stuff.
Yeah.
But I never ended up seeing it, so I don't know. I can't really say if it was good or not.
Ugh. Well, that's it for our special part 2 of our worst superhero movies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any recommendations for this week?
I do. So there was a trailer that we watched a couple weeks ago for a movie, Concrete Cowboy, that's on Netflix now. Dave and I watched Concrete Cowboy last night, and it is a thumbs up. I highly recommend it. It was so good.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, definitely check it out.
We'll have to watch
Concrete Cowboy on Netflix. I won't talk too much about it. It literally just came out a couple days ago, so I'm not going to go into details to let you guys watch it. But it's worth watching.
Cool. All right. Well, we will be back in like.
What about your recommendation?
I don't have a recommendation. You don't want to know what I've been watching. I just don't judge me. But this week I decided I was gonna watch Sailor Moon, the newer Sailor Moon, Crystal, because I like Sailor Moon.
It's not good.
Yeah, it is. I just didn't want to say it out loud.
Oh, okay.
I'm a big closeted Sailor Moon fan. I'm just gonna quietly over there be a Sailor Moon fan. Just leave me alone.
I feel like everyone loves Sailor Moon. Like,
yeah, but I'm a 40-year-old man. I don't like to put it everywhere that I'm a Sailor Moon fan.
I think 40-year-old male Sailor Moon fans.
I think
this is the diverse perspective that we want to have here.
I think I'm a teenage girl and stuck in a man's body. I think that's always been my life. I'm okay with it most of the time. Yeah, so watch Sailor Moon Crystal. I think that's what it's called.
Where is that streaming?
It's on Hulu. It's the newest one. Cool. It's a like a reboot of the like 90s series with more like faithfulness to the manga. So like the first episode is almost like exactly shot for shot. It's real weird. Well, Connie says, own that magical girl power.
Exactly, you should own it.
It's really cheesy. It's cheesy, kind of bad, but cheesy, it's fun.
Is good.
That's good. Yeah.
Rita H. Cooper says the new Top Chef started. Seems like it'll be really fun. I like Top Chef. I haven't watched that in a while.
I've never seen Top Chef.
Necrofilm says, I'm almost 50 and I love Phineas and Ferb. Phineas and Ferb is funny.
I've never seen Phineas and Ferb. I need to watch.
You haven't watched any of it?
Never.
Let me tell you, I really got into that show when it was like big. Yeah. I have like 3 soundtrack albums that they released. It was a good show. It was a really funny show.
Oh, awesome. All right. So we'll be back in a few minutes with Perception Paints. So you guys can hang out here or just click back in like 2 minutes. We'll be back and do some painting with Robert. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then tomorrow, don't forget to check us out at 2 p.m. for here on YouTube for Andrew playing some video games. And then Tuesday night for Solon's Legacy. We're still trying to push for a partnership. Tuesday night, Wednesday night, and Friday nights. We still would love to have you guys here so we can finally get that stupid check mark so we just be partners and just move on with our lives. But make sure you guys come back, and if there's nothing else, we will.
We'll Cinephilia
you later. Boo, boo, boo. Hello? Are we live? Boo. Nope, we're still live. You can hear me. Oh no, you can hear me. I pushed the button. Okay, bye.